Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the 11.5-inch AR pistol and shooting it out to 500 yards. And this is off of a comment that came out of a previous video that I did. Why on earth would you want to use an 11.5-inch to 500 yards? I mean, obviously in the video I was shooting it. I got something like a 2.6 MOA at 500 yards. I've got 2.8 MOA at 500 yards. So I've done it a bunch of times. I can make hits to 500 yards using the red dot and magnifier. In the last video, the focus on that is why the red dot and magnifier might be beneficial over a scope such as this 2.5 to 20, right, which has more magnification. And one of the things I discussed is, yeah, this has more magnification, but with this type of a scope, you gotta sit there and adjust the parallax, and then you gotta dial up. So there's more work involved with getting on target at distance, which means there's more time involved. Okay, so the other thing that came out is, how about an LPVO, right? With the LPVO, there's no parallax adjustment, there's no dialing up, okay? But the issue with the LPVO is that you still got to start in one magnification, get on target, use your throw lever to then dial up and take your shots. So you still have that little bit of a delay, and also with the LPVO, and definitely with the 2.5 to 20, right? When you go down to your lowest magnification, which is 1x here, 2.5 in the other one, this is never going to be as good as a red dot in CQB distance, right? The red dot is always going to be better, okay? So that's what the last video was about. So let me put this down. So in this video, it's like, fine, yes, okay. So you flip the magnifier off. We all accept that the red dot is better, right? The magnifier allows us to quickly, to basically quickly go from 1x to 6x back to 1x. We're not sitting there adjusting parallax. We're not dialing up on this, so I'm able to get shots off faster. Okay, so all right, so that was the last video. So now in this video, it's like, okay, fine, red dot magnifier. There's some advantages to that, but why an 11.5-inch? Why not go to a 16-inch? Okay, why would I want to do this now? The first thing, right? And this is probably the most important thing, is that this 11.5-inch AR pistol is a pistol, right, that is covered under my carry permit, okay? So that's important because I can keep this loaded in my truck, okay, because it is a legal pistol, okay? So that's an important distinction. Yes, I think the NFA is unconstitutional. This idea of SBRs shouldn't even exist, but as it stands right now, this has a special classification as a pistol, which allows me to keep it loaded in my truck, right? Ideally, that shouldn't be an issue, right? I should be able to just keep any rifle loaded in my truck, but as it is right now in this state, in Pennsylvania, I can't do that with a rifle, but I can do it with this. So the question now becomes, okay, why would I want to keep an AR pistol loaded in my truck? What type of situation am I envisioning, right, where I might have to be shooting at 500 yards, right? Because this is really what the focus is here, right? Shooting 11.5 inches to 500 yards, okay? So one of the first arguments that people will typically make is, listen, in an SHTF situation, all the rules, all the laws are out the window. Do whatever you want, carry whatever gun you want. And what I'm going to say that is, you don't necessarily know if that's true, right? Because the nature of SHTF is that you are not going to have access to all the information, okay? So where you are, you might think that it's the apocalypse, right? And, this is the end of times and we're not going back. And you might find out a day or two later that, you know what, it wasn't quite as bad as you thought it was, okay? Or you might find that, okay, there's a gradual escalation where, things start off like somewhat somewhat just a little bit out of control, but then they escalate, right? Where you start off thinking, there's no way I would ever need to make a 500-yard shot. and then all of a sudden you've got like a road warrior type of society, and you find yourself needing to make 500-yard shots. Okay, so that's just the nature of SHTF. You don't know how fast it's going to degrade. You don't know if it has actually gotten to that level, or if it's just your perception, or if it comes back. So you can't just assume that all laws are out the window, right? Because you're just not going to have that information immediately while it's happening. So that's a reason, right, why you may, at least for the start of it, you may want to stay within the law, right? And the AR pistol would allow me to do that. So I have a legal pistol that I can carry loaded, and yet I have the capability to shoot out to 500 yards. Okay, so that's the number one reason. Okay, now the other reason is that it is easy. It is smaller. It is a lot easier to carry and maneuver and manipulate. Right. So because this is 11 and a half inches. Now with the muzzle device, it comes out to 14 and a half inches, right? And this muzzle device is really beneficial because it really does bring the sound down, because AR pistols tend to be very loud. So this brings it down to a level that is really comfortable to shoot. It also does a great job of covering up the muzzle flash. So I've shot this at night. There's very little muzzle flash. And it also is very good at recoil reduction, right? So it's also functioning as a muzzle brake. So the great thing about this setup over here, right, because it's only 11 and a half inches, okay, I can have a rifle light on here. I can have the muzzle device. I can have the bipod. You know, I can have the front. I can have the iron sights. I can have a bubble level here, right? And I can still hold this comfortably in one hand, right, and do mag changes, right? And because the total length, right, I've got the bipod slightly extended here, but when I shorten up the bipod legs here, right, I am now at 14 and a half inches, right? What's happening is, and this is one of the things that you should do, like sling on your rifle and do stuff around your house, right? Like cook, or in my case here, I do stuff like, you know, maybe I'll shovel some snow or something, right? Work around your house and see how comfortable it is to handle the gun, right? You know, throw this over your back, you know, sling it, you know, and then go, I don't know, mow your grass or something. Okay? Obviously, you know, make sure you're in an area where that's not an issue. But you know, like here, I'm pretty isolated, so I can do stuff like that. You know, I can work outdoors with the rifle slung over my back, right? You know, and one of the things with this is because it's short, you know, that muzzle is not flying all over the place, right? I can tighten this down as much as I want, right? That muzzle is not all over the place. Okay, I can retrieve it. I can, you know, quickly retrieve it. You know, here I can just basically turn around, get some shots on target, right? So I can do that while I'm working. I can practice keeping it in front of me and seeing like, okay, I got like this right here. I got this table here, right? Well, how much of an issue is it? Is this going to hit the table as I'm working, or how much is it going to hit the table? Okay, so one of the things to understand with carrying rifles is, you know, most of the time, I mean, forget about the fact that you're not going to be shooting 500 yards. You're not going to be shooting at all most of the time. Okay, most of the time it's like the handgun in your holster, right? I carry a handgun every day in my holster. I'm never actually shooting it. You know, I've never had to pull it out of the holster and use it for self-defense. So most of the time, it's just sitting in my holster, which is the reason why I prefer to carry, you know, a Glock 43, right? With an optic, right? I carry that, even though, let's say, a Glock 19 might be a better gun. The fact is that most of the time I'm not shooting the gun, I'm just carrying it. Okay, so the same deal kind of would apply with this 11 and a half inch. Even in an SHTF type of situation, you're not going to be constantly engaged in combat. Okay, so most of the time you're just going to be carrying the gun. Okay, you know, you'll be able to use it if you need it. Okay, but you're not going to be actually be shooting it. You're going to be doing other things that you need to survive, right? Whether it's be, you know, gathering firewood, or you're going to be doing other things, right? You're not going to be shooting your gun most of the time. So the gun has to be compact and convenient so that you can do those other things. But then you have the ability that if you need to shoot 500 yards, you can shoot 500 yards. Okay, now why would you want to shoot 500 yards? How effective is it? So here's the thing, inside of 100 yards, we need to stop the threat. And the idea here is that if somebody is wounded inside of 100 yards, they're probably going to conclude that the best chance of survival is to continue to press their attack forward and defeat you, right? Because if they turn around and try to run away, they're going to think that, hey, maybe you just shoot them in the back. Okay, whether that's true or not true is besides the point. The fact is that that they're going to probably think that you have that capability. Okay, however, at 300 yards plus, right, at 300, 400, 500 yards, if you wound somebody, okay, they're going to probably calculate that their best chance of survival is to turn around and get out of it, right? Somebody that's wounded at 500 yards, right, is not going to continue to charge forward 500 yards to try and defeat you. Okay, so that's an important thing to understand with like the effect that we're looking for. Okay, now an interesting question that was brought up in the comments with the this 11.5 inch. At what point does it go subsonic? Okay, so now when I shot the I think the 2.6 and the 2.8 MOA at 500 yards. I was just using Wolf Gold. I was using cheap target ammunition, which is actually slow. At the muzzle, I have chronographed it to about 20. It was actually exactly 2504, 2,504 feet per second. So it's actually pretty slow ammunition. You can get much faster ammunition. So I had chronographed it out of this 11.5 inch barrel, target ammo 2504. So when I plugged it into the calculator, it basically told me at 500 yards, my velocity is about 1,500 feet per second. Okay, so that's still supersonic. Okay, so that's probably the reason why I was able to get 2.6, 2.8 MOA. In fact, even at 600 yards, the velocity is still above 1,300 feet per second. Okay, so at 600 yards, I can still make good hits. I haven't actually done it with this rifle or this pistol. I haven't actually done it with this AR pistol at 600 yards, but I should be able to make good hits. I believe the calculator said at 650 yards, it seems like it's going transonic. So 650 yards plus, I would probably have difficulty making my hits. Okay, so that's what you can expect to hit. And like I said, this gives me the benefit, right, of having a compact gun, right, that I can carry and do other stuff, and it's not in the way, right, or less in the way. I can load it up with a rifle light, with a bipod, with a muzzle device, with the front and rear sights over here, with a pressure pad, with the magnifier in the back, a 6x magnifier. Okay, this reticle is the ACSS, so it has a built-in bullet drop compensator. Hey everyone, I want to show you guys the ACSS reticle here, and I want to share with you guys this idea that everybody that owns a gun has practiced shooting at close distances. Okay, so the majority of gun owners out there, right, know how to shoot guns at CQB range. Okay, but there's a very small percentage of gun owners that have shot at 500 yards. Okay, or even 200 to 500 yards. So if I'm ever gonna have a gunfight, I definitely want to skew the odds in my favor, and I would rather have a gunfight at a distance that I have an advantage. Okay, so given that I have practiced many times shooting to 500 yards, that's where I would prefer to have my gunfight at, 400 to 500 yards. I can load this rifle up, and I weighed this on a scale earlier, right? And this comes in at 9 pounds 4 ounces. Okay, 9 pounds 4 ounces. So basically, you want to be under 10 pounds. Okay, so I'm able to fully load this up. 9 pounds 4 ounces, below 10 pounds. So this is a very manageable gun. And one of the things that I like to do is, for example, I have here a 16-inch AR-10, right? So this one over here comes in at 11 pounds, right? So there's no light on this, right? So when you take this, right, and you start moving around like this, you know, that's when you can start seeing the difference, how this one moves a lot easier than this. So with this one, I wasn't, you know, if I load a rifle light on this, this is going to get even heavier, okay? So yes, there's no question that the 308 AR-10, right, with this 1-10 scope would be better for 500 yards, but do I want to be carrying this if I know I'm not going to be shooting, okay? So over here, okay, so over here we got, this is the AR-47, right, that I was also shooting at 500 yards, okay? So with this one over here, I weighed this one comes in just above 10 pounds. So this is 16 inches, that one is also 16 inches. So again, even though this scope over here, right, this 2.5 to 20 is better, right, it would be better for 500 yards. You know, if I were to put a rifle line on this, this gets heavy. Okay? So with this 16-inch barrel, right, you can see I'm hitting the table, right? So with the 16-inch barrel, I got a heavier rifle, and the reality is, see how it's hanging lower on my leg at 16 inches? So the reality is that if I start doing stuff, that muzzle is going to start hitting things, right? So so it's a 16-inch barrel. With the flash hider, it comes out to about 18 inches. So that's only about 3.5 inches shorter, right? But, you know, as far as it not hitting your leg, not hitting the table, that makes a difference, right? And then when you throw this over your back, I mean, the 16 inches is fairly manageable, but it still sticks out a little bit, right? It's not quite as compact as the other one. It also sticks up a little bit more over here. Right, so the longer gun is going to stick out more. So again, this all comes back to, even like in an SHTF type of situation, you're not like a soldier, right? You're not like special forces. You're gonna be doing other stuff to survive besides shooting guns. Okay? So here I've got a 5.56 gun, 16 inches. This is with an LPVO on it. So with the 16 inches, now both of these weigh in at about 9 pounds 4 ounces. So the way this one works over here, even though with the 16-inch barrel, and I just put on the light in the front over here just for weight so I can weigh it, okay? So normally I'd probably put it on the side here with the LPVO, but I just wanted to get the weight on there for weighing it. So this comes out to about the 16-inch barrel is going to come out to about 18 inches with your flash hider. So in the last video I talked about using the LPVO to get hits at 500 yards. You have to start off from 1 power so you can get on target. Then you dial up, take your shots, and then remember to dial down, okay? So so with the LPVO, the dialing back and forth, that throw lever actually, you know, it does add time, because the throw levers and the magnification dials, they typically have some resistance because you don't want it moving while you're shooting, okay? As opposed to the magnifier, you know, you're basically going from 1x to 6x back to 1x, okay? So that's a fast, easy flipping back and forth. But when you hold these two side by side, there's not that much of a difference in the weight, right? And the main difference here is the muzzle device, right? This muzzle device here, in order to quiet the gun down, does add some weight. So these two do kind of balance out a little bit as far as being able to hold these. But then again, I'm gaining about 300. It's 3.5 inches shorter. So even though they kind of balance the same, okay, that 3.5 inches when you sling the gun on, okay, you see how it's not hitting the table, right? So I can have it here. I can do stuff. It's less likely to hit the table. So that's a pretty big convenience. You know, if you're actually working with the gun and doing stuff, okay. And then if you throw this on your back, this becomes a very compact gun, right? It pretty much stays inside of my body, right? It doesn't really extend past the width of my body, right? So this, you know, you can be running around doing stuff, you know, not shooting stuff, just work stuff, right? That you need to survive. And this is going to be a lot. I think it's going to be a lot more easier to work with. Right? And again, it's not likely that you'll be doing a lot of shooting at 500 yards. But if you need to do shooting at 500 yards, you're able to with this. And that's one of the things I needed to test out. And I've done it before. I've had this out to 500 yards. But I wanted to have it, I wanted to test it out again recently. So it works. Yes, other guns, the 308 is obviously a better choice. But it's also a heavier gun. Okay, so a couple of things for you guys to think about. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to y'all soon. All right, we're going to shoot the 500 yards again with the Palmetto 11.5 inch. Tighten this up. I loosened that up earlier for my cant. All right, so this time it looks like we got 4 out of 5 on the paper. Looks like the wind shifted. It was blowing them to the left a little bit because we got one in the middle. And maybe the wind, you know, we got a shift because then I got 3, because that's where the other ones landed, right? The ones with the circle are the 5 that I landed and I shot earlier. I think that was a total of 5 for 17 inches. Yeah, we got 5 at 17 inches at 500 yards earlier. This time we got 4 impacts. The 4 are at 15 inches. We got 15 inches, and then one got blown to the left there. So we had a wind shift, but still, man, 500 yards, 15 inches is damn good. And with the first 5 that I did, I mean, if I dropped the 5th one, which I'll usually do, I'll look at 4 out of 5. I'm at 14 inches. So we're getting pretty consistent, you know, 4 out of 5 for 15, you know, for about 14-15 inches with this Wolf Gold out of the 11.5 inch barrel. Yeah, 14 inches with the ones I just shot. That is pretty damn good, I think, with the you know Wolf Gold 223. Basically I was using the Holosun 503G ACSS. It's got the chevron, got a horseshoe, chevron, and 3 dots underneath it for your holds. So at 400 yards, basically, I was holding with the first dot at the top of the paper. I saw I was impacting low, so what I did at 500 yards, I used the second dot, and that went on top of the paper. And then that dropped them about, I think it was like 20 inches. It's dropping them about 20 inches low. And it's doing it pretty consistently. Yeah, about 20 inches low.